Hi, my name is John Weidner, and I'm a professor of chemical engineering and the dean of engineering and applied science at the University of Cincinnati. Today, I'm going to interview Bradie Crandall and Cameron Hong, the 2019 AIChE WISE interns. WISE stands for Washington Internships for Students of Engineering. The WISE students are selected through a highly competitive process by their prospective societies. They spend 9 weeks during the summer in Washington, D.C., conducting public policy research on a topic of their choice. They have the opportunity to learn about the interaction between the engineering community and the government in matters of policy, to see how engineers can contribute to the public policy decisions in complex technical areas. Bradie and Cameron were the two students chosen by AIChE to work as WISE interns this summer in D.C. So let's welcome Cameron and Bradie and let them introduce themselves and tell them where they're from.
Yeah, so as Dr. Weidner said, my name is Bradie Crandall. I'm a senior chemical engineering student from the University of South Carolina. Originally grew up in Pennsylvania and Ohio, and then attended University of South Carolina to pursue my bachelor's.
Hi, I'm Cameron Hong, and I'm currently a junior chemical engineering student at Bucknell University in Pennsylvania. I'm originally from New Jersey.
Okay, well, I have a few questions to let the audience know about your summer experience. So first of all, tell us about your topic and why you chose it.
Yeah, so it's become pretty clear here that we've reached a scientific consensus that the changes in the climate we're experiencing today are caused by man. And thus far, a lot of the efforts to mitigate these changes have been very insufficient. So we kind of need to buy ourselves some more time so a lot of these decarbonization efforts become more affordable and then can be implemented. So one of the methods that can allow us to do this is called solar geoengineering. And the most popular method to achieve solar geoengineering involves stratospheric sulfur injection. So by injecting about a few tons of sulfur into the upper stratosphere, it will allow us to reflect about 1% of incoming solar radiation. And this will allow us to buy us a little bit more time to decarbonize. But obviously there's a lot of geopolitical factors that need to be considered when we're talking about researching and even implementing solar geoengineering. So these are the things I was trying to consider over the summer.
Cameron?
Okay, my topic was a little bit different from Bradie's. I ended up researching defense nuclear waste policy, and when I talk about waste, I was talking about how to get rid of it or what to do with it, since a lot of the nuclear waste is like plutonium and these radioactive isotopes of a lot of these elements, and these elements are eventually going to outlive all of us. So coming up with a permanent disposal plan for these materials is really important, and something that the United States does not have an official policy for yet. So I looked into this issue and some of the challenges associated with it related to contract management, cost performance, and public opinion.
Okay, well, Cameron, how did you spend your summer researching your topic?
I actually had no idea what any of this stuff about nuclear was before coming in, and I was actually interested in looking at water infrastructure and kind of interested in looking at some other nuclear adjacent topic. And I spent a lot of time initially talking to Dr. Tomoko Steen at the Library of Congress, who helps out with our program a lot, talking to her about relevant issues within those two topics, and then talked to Dr. Levin from the American Nuclear Society as well. And Dr. Levin was really the one who introduced this idea of looking into nuclear waste policy, because the United States has struggled so much to develop an effective one thus far. And after I was able to get my footing on this topic, I spent most of the front half of my summer reading and researching, and then figuring out who I needed to reach out to when I found gaps in my research. So it was really helpful that being in DC, being able to talk to all these incredibly intelligent people, and there's so many people who know so much about everything. So I got to talk to a lot of people in that sense too.
Bradie, is that how you found it as well?
I think this work was quite different than traditional engineering work, where typically you'd be spending a lot of time at a desk or on a computer screen or out in a plant. Here you were really out in the field conferring with the experts on our topic. So we had the chance to meet with professionals from NASA, the EPA, NIST, Department of State, AAAS fellows, and then I met with a variety of people from NGOs across the entire political spectrum. So it was a really good opportunity to meet with a wide variety of experts on our topic.
So I'm curious if after researching that and researching your topic, if you change your perspective or your view or how you viewed these issues.
Yeah, coming into DC, I kind of had this conception, I think a lot of people have this misconception as well, that climate policy is this really contentious issue. But I found once I got to DC and meeting with people really on both sides of the aisle here that there's a lot of things that both parties really agree on when it comes to climate policy. And even looking closer at the bills that these people are proposing in Congress, you'll find there's a lot of overlap in what they're proposing. So what I really learned is there's measures that could be taken today to mitigate climate change. And mitigation and prioritizing mitigation adaptation is a big part of, it's really the first step we need to take before we even think about solar geoengineering. So I spent a lot of time looking into that. And like I said, there's measures that could be taken today if our elected officials were simply more willing to work across the aisle.
So Cameron, what about you in nuclear waste?
Something I really found that nuclear is a topic that people really don't love to talk about, even politicians who are willing to talk about a lot, and they have their hands in a lot of different issues. But one thing that I really found was that people have a lot of different ideas about how to solve these issues and how the Department of Energy should go about addressing it. And I found that they're really willing to talk about their ideas as long as you give them a floor for their opinions. And I really feel like opening up this discussion amongst the academic and the political community in DC, and then eventually progressing towards opening that discussion up to the general public is one way that they can really start to move forward on this issue. But I really didn't get the chance to talk to too many highly, anyone that was politically drawn one way or the other, because the issue at hand it's not super developed yet, so it was a little bit unclear, but I think that was an interesting caveat of my topic.
Well, it sounds neat that you were able to talk to a lot of these experts in the field and learn about public policy, but I'm sure there's a lot more in DC that you did besides the technical aspects. Is there anything in particular you want to share of how you spent your summer outside of the research side?
Yeah, DC, we were staying in Foggy Bottom, which is right by George Washington University, right near a metro station. So we actually got to go to the congressional baseball game this summer, which I thought was really, really fun to see. And even if it wasn't so much about the baseball, but just being in that environment and everyone's excited and there for the same reason. And four of the interns actually went back to the Nationals Park, and we saw another game. It was it got rained out the night before, so it was in the middle of the day, so it was a nice break to be able to do that. And then I know it's still related to the research, but just being able to go and work at the Library of Congress and having that freedom to work where you choose and where you kind of seek inspiration the most, I think that was a really essential part of this program. I really appreciated it.
So Bradie, what did you enjoy doing?
Yeah, I really enjoyed exploring the city, honestly. I mean, DC has such a rich history there, and there's so much to take in that, in between every meeting I'd have, I'd be trying to get involved in something just to take some of the city in while I was there.
So did this experience change your future plans or your outlook on how you're going to approach your next phase in your career?
Yeah, I think it definitely changed my future plans. I now recognize that it's very clear that scientists and engineers have a large responsibility when it comes to policy to ensure that our policymakers have the best science available to them to base their policies upon. So currently I'm planning on pursuing a PhD in chemical engineering and then going on to pursue a career in research, but certainly I'm going to try to incorporate more policy aspects and policy advisement aspects into my future career after this experience. I think it's very important that we, scientists and engineers, make a better attempt to overcome scientific ignorance in politics, especially with the rise of the anti-vaccination movement, climate change denial, and things of that sort. I think that largely demonstrates a failure on the part of scientists and engineers of educating our politicians on these issues.
Cameron?
And I definitely agree with Bradie. I as well participate in a lot of research at my home institution, and I was really planning on going for a PhD in chemical engineering. And after being in DC this summer and going through the WISE program, I really fell in love with the process of doing this kind of research and being able to go out and talk to people and get immediate feedback on your ideas. I mean, you get some of that in the lab, but it felt a little, like Bradie said, it was really different from engineering research at the same time. So I really fell in love with the process, and I think that I'm going to go forward with a graduate degree in public policy. Not really sure if master's or PhD yet, but I definitely feel like I'm going to go in that direction. But I still really don't want to forget the science, and I still want to try to keep that and keep my ties to that somehow. Not sure how I'm going to work that
All
in
right,
yet.
well, great. Well, Bradie, Cameron, thank you for sharing your experience in the WISE program in DC.
Thank you.
It sounds like a wonderful opportunity. I hope more students take advantage of this. And again, thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.
Thank you.